All right, 8:30 right now. We continue to cover Hawaii's homeless issue. Just minutes ago, a baby wandered onto the streets in the area of a Kaka'ako homeless camp. Ramsay was right there, ran over to get him off the road. Ramsay, just great for you to do that, but what happened? Talk us through.
Yeah, my heart about sank, Steve. We're actually standing at the other end of Ilalo here, and a woman drove by as we're setting up, ready to go live, and she says, "Hey, I just want to tell you, there's a child walking into the street over there." And I was saying, "Thank you, okay." And as soon as I look back, and I think that's the mother of the child who claims to be the child's mother. Eventually, I went over to the tent, but I ran after. I thought, "My gosh, nobody's going after the child. I'm witnessing this. I have to do something as a mother." So I went over there, and then shortly after, another young girl comes over and says that that's her brother. But I'm giving a child to a child? No. So I ask her where the mother is, and she says it's her brother, and then she proceeds to pull the baby from me, and I follow her in, ask where the mother is. Eventually she leads me to one of the tents over here on the side. When I walk in, to describe the atmosphere, but there was also a man in there and a child that was eating cereal off of the tent floor. And I was just, I'm in a state of shock already practically because of the child that was in the street. And I said, "My goodness, who was watching the child?" And the young girl says that another young child was supposed to be watching that baby. And clearly that was not the case. The mother really didn't say much to me. She was speaking in another language. Turns out she did tell me that she's from Micronesia. And they also indicated, because I asked about their housing situation, "Are you on the list? What's going on? Why are you all out here?" Because she had two other small children with her, as I mentioned. One that I saw in the tent, and then the other two potentially teenagers, if you will, young girls. And they said that they'd been at the Institute for Human Services. I immediately contacted them because we know how hard those folks work to do the outreach, to get them into connected with services, get them into shelters. And I just got off the phone with them, and they are, quite concerned. They said that they had, to put it delicately, as with every homeless case and every family scenario, there can be issues that arise, and there were some complications and cooperative issues with the family that somehow led to them being back out here. The younger girl tells me there was no payment made, but it seems like the situation is much more complicated, much more complex, according to IHS officials, than that, and certainly they'll be looking into it. They also encouraged me, after I shared with them what happened and what I witnessed, they're telling me to now contact the state and the child welfare, the protective services at this point, because they think it's important enough for me to share what happened this morning here. I go back to the very beginning of why we started the coverage of this story. It's that it's all about helping people, trying to get them to a better place. And whether it's between the state or the city efforts that are ongoing, we bring you this coverage of the not only the community complaints, but concerns for the well-being of the individuals who are here and how can we best help them. Again, every case is different. We will continue to bring you the coverage. Today's coverage was here about what's going on with the park and the discussions going on between the state and the city to open up the city's efforts to be able to do some of the enforcement in these state lands. So we'll continue to follow that. But yes, guys, back in the studio, I never expected that I'd be, Steve, doing what we did today, but I'm glad I was here to help.
No,
back to you.
And the only reason we bring it up, obviously it's a lot of an active scene that's going on there, but there's only so much you can get from analyzing numbers and looking at the problem from a distance. This adds a totally different layer, Ramsay, from what you saw this morning, right?
It is, and it's the type of scenarios that we have anecdotally heard about from different people, but to be able to see something like that, again, that's exactly what individuals that are trying to help the homeless in these communities are trying to do, is to protect the innocents, to protect the families that are out here in any way they can. Steve?
Yeah. All right, we're glad you were there, Rams. It's 8:35 right now. A major